Salut tout le monde, whether you're on your way to work or sitting on your couch watching today's Rendez-Vous, I can promise you that you're one step closer from being fluent in French. What if I told you that we have one of the most successful French teachers on social media? With over 1 million followers, he has been teaching the language for years, and he's here today to share the best tactics to learning French, as well as sharing his experience living in both countries, the United States and France. Please welcome Emmanuel from Encore French Lessons.
Merci Alex.
Je t'en prie, de
Welcome.
rien.
How are you?
Merci, ça va et toi?
Ça va, ça va. Ah, on parle français?
Ouais,
Justement, alors on parle français ou on mélange un peu? Comment ça se passe?
on va parler anglais. On va parler
on va
anglais.
Anglais, ok.
On va parler anglais aujourd'hui.
So it's
Okay.
like
Good on
English, mainly English with some French. Like
I'll try to fix my English accent then.
Your English is great.
You can
man.
keep your French accent. They all love it.
We love it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? The information that I have is that you moved to LA 10 years ago. You moved to Portland for a year. Music is your passion. You went to UCLA to study music. And yeah, like what's your experience like? What's your background?
You summed it up pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I did arrive in LA 10 years ago to study music,
Yeah.
film scoring, and also learn to teach French.
Yeah.
Went through some workshop to teach the language, and then I wanted to fully dedicate my time to teaching French,
Teaching French?
and do a bit of music on the side.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you move to the US for teaching French, or music was your first goal?
Music was the first goal, definitely. Moving to the US was for music and also having more opportunities in life in general.
Okay.
I would say professionally.
So the United States gives you more opportunities to pursue a career in music.
Not only music, just anything you want, I think.
Interesting.
Any business you want to start, I think. Is,
I completely agree with that. So like, why teaching French if you said that your first goal was music?
Yeah, how did that come about?
It's true. How? So it was to pay the rent.
And okay.
Interesting.
So it was like a necessity at first. It was to round up the end of the month, and I started getting better at it, understanding more the grammar as I go. I was just surprised at how I didn't know about my own language before that. But then reading grammar books, learning the rules by heart, explaining it,
Yeah.
is actually is pretty fulfilling, because then you teach somebody to understand your own language and why you understand it better yourself.
I love that you're saying that at first you weren't a teacher, but by the fact that you like became a teacher and learned how to be a teacher, you learned more about your own language.
Exactly.
And that's something that I felt like I went through as well, because like you said, when you're here, it's very hard to make money, especially when you're on a visa. So teaching French is the only way for us to make money in an easy way, you know, but also sharing something that we love, sharing the culture, sharing our language.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, especially like conjugation and grammar, that I've learned by teaching and doing research and that I'd have never learned before when I was in France.
French is like such a complicated language, and I think most of the French people don't actually know the full extent of the French language. Like that's to show you how complicated the French language is.
Yes.
The French language, the whole country itself is, you know, just very like something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tim mentioned earlier that you moved here 10 years ago. So previously you lived in France. How was the lifestyle in France compared to here in the United States? Did you change your way of living here, or is it still the same?
So first, I was from Paris suburb.
Okay.
I think it's important information, and then lived in Paris for a couple years. And living here, the lifestyle, it's pretty different. One of the most important things is, most different things, especially being in LA, is that you need the car all the time to go anywhere. In Paris, you just take the suburb, you don't question, you can go anywhere. But here in LA, it's you think twice before you drive because of traffic and stuff. So, but also the lifestyle is like, people are try to be healthy here in LA, like have a healthy lifestyle with sport,
So
like the exercise and...
it's very interesting that you're talking about that people are trying to exercising and they're healthy, because there's a big cliche in France about American people is that everybody here is obese. Would you agree with that statement that American people are, you know, eat a lot of fast food and are not like healthy?
They do a lot more efforts than 10 years ago, for example.
That's
in terms of food and even in terms of activities like this yoga, Pilates. I see a lot of people running, biking.
I mean, the US is like way bigger
Yeah.
than France. It's almost the size of a continent. So you can't really judge,
Yes.
one city
Yeah.
and like with the whole country itself.
LA has a massive culture of well-being, which I think is beautiful, and like we don't nearly have that in France. I think if you compare the average, like it's very different. But like LA in specific is very, very different.
Very diverse.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Well, very
diverse.
diverse, and just like
Yeah.
they work out a lot more. Obviously, the weather allows you to work
Yeah.
out outside
Yeah,
a lot
that's-
more, so it's
that's a
more
big thing.
fun.
Yeah.
Like in Paris, you're not gonna. You can go on runs, but like it's rainy. It's probably like
Cold, rainy.
It's night at like 5 p.m. in the
And then
winters as well.
Good luck biking in Paris too.
Yeah.
On the bus.
you might get
It's getting better with Anne Hidalgo, but it's still
Yeah.
not there.
it's still better. Speaking about Anne Hidalgo and speaking about Paris, you said that you came here like for the opportunities, but this is related to like the American dream, like moving to the United States.
You want a better
and
life.
being like having a better life and like being an entrepreneur and making more money, being successful. But do you think that we have a French dream similar to the American dream?
It's a very good question, Alex.
So myself, like it is a very interesting question. But I think that yes, I think we do have a French dream for multiple reasons. The first one is the quality of life in France
Yeah.
is just
Definitely.
different. We have, the universal healthcare. We have so many things that make our country, free. Also, the fact that we have like free college, free high school. Tim, what do you think of all of that?
I don't understand how everything in France is free. You know what I mean? Like we've got, as you mentioned, we've got free healthcare, we've got free schools, we've got like public transportation it's not too expensive, and like food is affordable, like going out is affordable, like housing is not too bad. Like we pay very high taxes, so like, that's where it comes from. That the real answer is that.
Yeah.
But so many like the system allows people that don't have a lot to have as much opportunities as other people. So basically, it puts everybody on the same like level playing field, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like a lot of people like move to France for that better quality of life.
And that's something that I love about France is that the diversity. We're benefiting
Yeah.
from a huge diversity from everywhere around the world. Like North Africa, even the United States and other countries. Like Spain,
Yeah.
Portugal, Italy, and the fact that people are coming to France to have a better quality of life. Shows that we do have a French dream.
Yeah.
And that is also the school system in France, the fact that you want to go to France and give your chance to your kid to be raised in a better way possible,
Have a better education.
have a
yeah.
better education
for free.
for free, just shows a lot. And that comes to one of my questions that I wanted to ask you, Emmanuel, is how is the American school system compared to the French one?
Because you've been to UCLA.
Party life is different. The teachers' relationship with the students are different too. Sometimes you would see the teachers hanging out with their students and have a beer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that in France.
And it's crazy because
We just talked about this.
this happened in college, but in high school, literally, high school teachers would literally literally smoke with their student if they smoke, or like hang out,
Yeah.
just like talk about life, being very like intimate, private with their students. In France, literally, if I wasn't vouvouyer, my teacher,
Yeah.
vouvouyer,
Yeah.
my teacher, I would literally get kicked out of class.
Yeah.
You have to show so much respect to French teachers.
Right.
They do respect their teachers in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how there's so many different things about the school system. Also, for example, like the grading system. I remember I came here in the United States without speaking a word of English. I did not speak English, and my first grades were like 45, 50%. I don't even know what letter is this because they use like A, B, C, D, E.
I think that's an F. I think you failed your class if you had 50%.
That's probably worse than an F. In France, if you get a 10 out of 20,
You passed.
You pass. Yeah.
it's decent.
50%. What is like in grading system like C
I think
minus?
I think that's an F.
It's an F.
It's an F.
I think it's an F.
50% is an
Yeah.
F.
So if you get an F in France, you did it. You passed.
Yeah, you have to pass it with 50%. Have you had that at UCLA too, where like everything is like multiple choice,
Yes.
and like you don't remember anything the minute you step out the classroom and like you took your midterm, like you just blanked out. do you want to explain a little bit how the French system works in terms of like exams and stuff, and how I think it's a lot better in terms of, you know, the essays and stuff like that? How it's like a different way of testing.
I think we have to write a lot more.
Yeah.
It's expressing your knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's not just like, you know, here like there's test taking strategies where it's like you don't know what the right answer is, but you know what the wrong answer is. So like you cross that out and you end up picking the last one. I'm like, how can you work like that? That's crazy.
In France, if you don't know the answer, like for example, I remember my philosophy exam in high school. The question was to be or not to be. This was the question, and I had the paper. I had to write 5 or 6 pages in 3 hours on this question, and it wasn't like, you know, like multiple choices. It was literally, what do you think of that question, and quote all the philosophers that you know.
Did you get good grades in high school?
Depends what fields. Yeah.
How about philosophy?
Philosophy was okay.
Did you? Isn't it funny how like in philosophy, I got 7 out of 20 for the back, and that was like a good grade. So like 7 out of 20 is 35%, and that was a good grade.
Good grade.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
For philosophy, it's not bad. Like everybody, the average in my class was 5 out of 20.
Yeah.
That's 25%.
It is
That's
hard,
the
and
average over 35 students.
That's absolutely what I do not miss about France.
Yeah.
Is how hard they grade.
Yes, it's
with
true.
with your essays. But that's what I don't miss about France. But I do miss a lot of things about my country. A lot of
Yes.
things. What do you miss about France?
I miss how cheap cheese is in France, and a good baguette is, you know.
Yeah.
In the US, it's way more expensive, actually. So I would say culture, too. Culture.
Okay.
The beauty, also, of buildings. I don't see much beauty in LA, to be honest. I mean, some people see it beautiful in its own way, but...
Okay. I agree with the architecture. They say architecture. I really can't say that. It's a really different type of beauty. Here they have like buildings that are like 30 floor. I think like our highest buildings in Paris, like France in general, are like the 7th floor, 7th, 8th.
Yeah.
You know, and the architecture, you know, it's just different.
Architecture.
Architecture is just way different. I know one thing I miss the most about France is going to the cafe with my friends and debating around the table and kind of talk about every topic at the end of the day. I really miss that because I feel like when I'm here, I can't really, you know, sit down, talk, and have a time with my friend. I feel like I'm always doing something, always working.
On the go.
On the go, exactly. On the go. And also I think, I don't know about you, Tim. I don't know about you, Emmanuel, but one thing that I miss the most about France and Europe in general is traveling. I just think that traveling is so much easier in France and so much cheaper and affordable, like I said. Like you'll see on the screen, I'm going to show you a map of the biggest city, how cheap it is to like fly to those cities, okay? Like just take a look at it and tell me if for like $50 you can go to Chicago from Los Angeles. Absolutely not. And how do you travel when you're in France? If you want to go from like Paris to like Nice or Cannes?
Oh, we have the TGV, you know, train à grande vitesse.
Le train à grande vitesse. So it means like
it's the pride of France.
It really is.
It means like the train, the high speed train. Because it's so funny how like I don't remember myself flying in France.
No,
it's
very rarely.
It's either I take the bus, you know, the flex bus. I don't know how you call this, but it's just like a bus that would literally like make you like travel France for cheap, or the TGV.
Yeah.
Okay. The train is something that here in the US they don't have.
They do, but nobody really thinks about taking the train. It's not like
it's not a culture.
popular in France. You just think train, and it's the most comfortable. It's very well deserved. It's
You can sleep on train sometimes.
Yeah,
Le train couchette.
Night train.
I love taking the train in France. It's really nice. I recommend.
You recommend?
Yeah.
Well, we want you to recommend stuff because you're here for that, you know?
Okay.
What are the best tactics? What are your best recommendation for people who want to learn French? You know, your French teacher. What is one thing, one advice you want to give to people who want to learn French? What is the best way for you to improve your French?
One of the best way to improve your French, it depends. If you're not in France, I would say to take private lessons.
Oh, Tim, passe-moi la binouse!
Oh, il y a Mich qui a tout bu, mais il y a de la limonade si tu veux.
Oh, les salopes, oh boy! Ah, ça ira, vas-y. Allez,
Tiens,
allez.
tiens.
Ah, c'est bien.
Voici mon prince.
C'est carré. Ah, c'est bien bon. If you spoke French fluently, you would have understood what I just said, but that's okay because I have something for you. How about learning French with native speaker who will actually teach you spoken French? Lingoda is the #1 online school in Europe, and they're great at teaching you everything from the basics to becoming fluent in French. They offer courses that will help you speak confidently with small group classes, flexible class time, and structured course material. Practicing every day is key when you're learning an instrument, and it's no different from learning a language. Lingoda is efficient and very effective when you're truly looking to learn a new language and applying it into real-world situations. Try out the sprint challenge in the link in the description and get 20€ off with our code French20. Sympa la limonade. Avec plaisir.
Definitely practice with a native speaker who preferably understands your language too. So they know the difficulties of English, for example, if you're an English learner.
Okay.
I mean, English person, Anglophone learning French.
What do you think of people saying that we can learn through movies and music?
I think it's great. I mean, in my opinion, maybe it takes longer for me, but I've heard about people learning through Netflix and they play it in like slower speed.
Okay.
And it works great for them with the subtitles and the original language. I think it's a good complement to taking lessons. For me, taking lessons is pretty important to understand the grammar and stuff.
Okay.
What do you think is the hardest part? Like, why do you think French people struggle with learning English? Because I know it was really hard for me. It took me like 3 to 4 years being immersed in the language, like having an American girlfriend, going to American school, to really learn English. What do you think makes it so hard to learn English?
To learn English, so that's a very good question. As a French person, to learn English, first of all, in school, I don't know about you guys, but people were mocking you if you had like too good of a English accent.
Yes.
So if I would speak like this in class, everybody would look at me and like what's wrong with you, man? Like,
yeah,
you're not natural or something.
That goes back to the fact that French can be very judging. Okay.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that you don't like you. If you go to France, please try to speak French. Okay. Like it doesn't mean that we're judging everybody.
Just in high school.
Yeah.
That's just
But
in high
yeah,
school.
that was in middle school, high school, and then definitely the pronunciation with English, because the grammar is somehow easy for the French, I think. You know, especially conjugation.
Yeah.
Don't have much to conjugate, except when you learn the past tense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think pronunciation is the hardest part because in English, you have to accentuate or you have to make some syllables longer than others, like beach and beach. I had such a problem with this.
Yeah.
it's don't get me.
The emphasis and emphasis and
Literally like the emphasis or like the stress or like the rhythm. Literally like they have like for example, if I say the sentence like I never said she stole my money. In French, you would say like Elle n'a jamais volé mon argent.
Yeah.
We're not gonna say like I never said she stole my money or I never said she stole my money or I never said she stole my money. In English,
It's very different meanings.
they put stress on words, and I'm just like, the whole sentence can be the same, but if you put some emphasis on words, it has a completely different meaning.
Yep.
And it's
So hard to learn.
it's so different. And even for words, you know, like for example, when they say the word like mentality
Yeah.
or vacation, if you say like mentality or
They don't get
vacation,
it.
they could be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, there's not 1,000 words that are vacation, or vacation. It's the exact same thing.
It's just one word.
And one last thing about the English language that I'm still struggling with is that they're gonna use words for 2 different meanings. For example, if I say, oh, you're ridiculous, that can mean, wow, you're amazing, but it also means like, oh, like you're weird, like you're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or same for terrific. Oh, that's
Yeah.
terrific.
There's
really
another
doesn't
one
tell.
is when they say shut up.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
See?
They're like, so saying shut up for the Americans can express surprise, like, no way. They say shut up.
Or same for
Shut up. What?
Shut up.
It just depends on the tone, which is the
Yeah.
craziest thing.
I'm up for something, you want to do something, and I'm down for something,
Yeah.
you want to do something.
So confusing. So
So when I came here, I promise you, people probably thought that I was crazy. They probably thought that I was crazy. But Tim, can you explain us a little bit more about the reason why English people struggle learning French and French people struggling learning English?
Yeah, I think the most interesting difference between French and English is that, as I'm sure you know, they come from different backgrounds. So the French is a Romance language, right?
Yeah.
And the English is a Germanic language. So just to give a little history, the Roman Empire, like 2,000 years ago or so, was from the east of Turkey to pretty much France, Spain, and like the south of Great Britain, or England. And it was one language, and that's why French, Spanish, Italian, they're all very similar, and they're really easy for us to learn. However, you also had English that comes from what's called Proto-Germanic, and it was the Germanic Empire before. It was around the same area, same time frame. And it derived from Germanic language, which is why, like, one of the things that was hard for me to learn is that you put the adjective before the noun, and it's switch. Like, between both languages, it's switch. Like, if you want to say a red tie, you say a red tie. In French, you say une cravate rouge. So, like, you switch both. And that was
Tied
like,
red.
yeah, you literally say
red.
tie red in French.
Yeah.
And so the grammar comes from a Germanic background, which is why it's called a Germanic language. However, what's really funny about English is that there's more French vocabulary in English than German vocabulary. There's 29% of the vocabulary that comes from French roots. Isn't that
That's-
insane?
Yeah.
Almost a third of the English language comes from.
Also French is
background.
also known to be one of the oldest language. And the funniest fact and the funniest thing about like Latin languages in that we have like genders. Can you tell us about like the genders in the French language or Latin languages in general?
Yeah, there are masculine, feminine genders.
How can you tell?
It's because some words end in with the letter E, and we tell our students that when a word ends in E, has more chance to be feminine.
Right.
But I would say that's like a 60% chance. So there are 40% probably or 30% words ending in E that are masculine. So it's hard. There's not really a pattern. There are some actually endings that will tell you it's feminine, like sion or et.
Okay.
All these words ending like this are feminine.
Yeah, I remember my teachers, and the way I learned how to teach with people is that a lot of feminine words end with vowels, especially the E, and most of masculine words are ending with consonants. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, mostly. I mean,
Mostly,
a higher chance. Yeah.
a higher chance. I love how like French is like all about probability.
Yeah, exactly. It's about
Probability.
gambling.
There's always
Like odds. It's like odds. Like it's either you got it or you
Yeah.
got it wrong. And that is the reason why that as like French native speakers, and Emmanuel mentioned it before, learning with native speakers is the best way to improve your French. Why not doing a French 101, how to talk about yourself? French 101.
All right, let's do one French 101.
So what I'm going to tell you guys is we are going to introduce ourselves. Okay, we're going to talk about ourselves in French. Okay, we're going to take turns. I'm going to ask you question. Okay, you're going to answer those questions.
Yeah.
And then, Tim, you'll introduce yourself. I'll do it. And then we're going to let the audience do it. You're going to be able to, like, follow a little script so you're not lost. And you'll be able to practice with us. Okay? So,
I'm excited to learn more about you guys.
don't
Yeah,
worry.
Alex, we don't know enough about you.
Oh, God, don't worry. There's not a lot to know about me.
Do you actually get a croissant every morning you wake up? Or?
I do.
Ah, you do?
In France, yeah.
I do. I
In
love
France,
croissant.
For sure.
I love croissant. So, comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Emmanuel. Ou moi, c'est Emmanuel.
Enchanté. Quel âge as-tu?
J'ai 34 ans.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais dans la vie?
Dans la vie, j'enseigne le français.
Professeur de français.
Voilà.
Très bien. Et où est-ce que tu habites?
J'habite à Los Angeles,
Oh,
aux États-Unis.
Aux
Fancy.
États-Unis, Los Angeles. Quelle est ta passion?
Mes passions sont le français et la musique.
Très intéressant. Wow, he speaks pretty
I like
good
it.
French.
Yeah, yeah. He's really
Merci,
fluent.
merci beaucoup, Alex. Merci
Merci
beaucoup.
beaucoup.
Yeah.
De rien, you're welcome. Two things. When you're speaking French, when you say je m'appelle, a lot of French people would just say je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. So don't be surprised if you hear that.
Yeah.
The second tip I want to give you is when you say your age, okay? Here they say like I am like 24 or I am 25. In French, we don't say like je suis, okay, 25. We say j'ai 25. So I have 25. So be careful when you're doing this.
I always thought it's pretty interesting because on a psychological aspect, do you have your age or are you your age? And I believe we have our age.
Wow. I
We are
never
not.
asked myself that question.
Yeah, no, that's really true.
The age doesn't define you. It's what you do with your age that defines you.
Wow.
Age is
I love
just a
that, like,
number.
you put it in a like philosophical way.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
like-
I'm just thinking about it
Sorry,
right now.
I
It's
had
like,
to place this one.
No,
no,
this
it's
is
so interesting
this
when you
was
think
kind
about
of
it.
smooth. You know, like that's very very smooth.
And there are many things like this actually between French and English where you have or you are.
Okay.
And I think they're very interesting, like
To be or not to be.
to have fear versus to be afraid. You know, like in French we say avoir peur.
Yeah.
I'm
so
glad-
So you have fear, basically. in
Have,
French
but you
say.
are not afraid.
I'm glad.
You have the fear.
So this is the distinction between yourself and your feelings.
Exactly. It separates you from
Right.
the emotion.
Period.
I
Tim,
never actually thought about it.
your time. Introduce yourself in French. I won't be asking the question, but go
Oh,
for it.
okay. So you're making.
That's just Tim. I just care about
premium
Emmanuel.
services for him,
I
and
live.
I'm just-
I live with you. you
Okay,
know?
okay, gotcha. Je m'appelle Tim. J'ai 22 ans. I had to think about that one. Je suis photographe. J'habite à Los Angeles et j'aime l'aviation. So
Oh.
Ah,
it's
Il est
means
pilote.
aviation.
moi aussi j'aime l'aviation.
Ah oui?
Tu es pilote vraiment?
Ouais.
Il est pilote d'hélicoptère. Tu te rends compte?
En sérieux?
Oui.
Tu vas devoir.
Sérieux? French slang of the day. Sérieux?
Sérieux? Sarah?
No way.
Oh ouais. Shut up.
Oh
If
well.
you said that in French, like it
Yeah.
would fly.
Yeah.
But what about you, Alex?
Oh, so je m'appelle Alex or Alexandre. J'ai 21 ans, bientôt 22. Alright, saying
You
that.
just meant that he's a 2000.
Je suis un étudiant à l'université. J'habite à Chicago et j'aime le football et sortir avec mes amis. C'est beau.
Ah,
Bon.
c'est mignon.
Mais t'as seulement 21 ans.
Yeah,
C'est
I'm
pas
only
ça.
21. I look older, right? You can tell me.
Et c'est aussi t'as ton parcours.
My parcours.
Parkour
yeah,
is
ton
background.
parcours.
It's not like parkour. It's like.
I guess.
I mean, he kind of parkoured his way through life, but
Yeah, no, I'm very grateful for where I am today. Before we end this podcast, don't worry, we didn't forget about you. It's your turn now to practice your French. So I want you to follow the script, okay, on the screen. And you're just adding your name, your age, the city where you're from, what you do in life, and what you like to do in life.
ask them the questions.
Okay.
It'll be easier for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Don't worry, babe, I got you. So, comment tu t'appelles? Okay.
Not bad.
J'aime ce prénom. J'aime ce prénom. Quel âge as-tu? OK. Où est-ce que tu habites?
J'adore.
Nice
J'adore
city.
cette ville.
I've never been, but I have to visit. Je dois
Yeah.
visiter. Qu'est-ce que tu fais dans la vie?
Ah, j'ai un ami qui fait la même chose.
C'est vrai?
Ouais,
Oh, intéressant.
Trop bien.
Moi, je crois pas.
Sérieux?
sérieux.
Quelle est ta passion?
Ah, moi,
Ouh,
moi aussi.
OK.
moi aussi, j'adore.
C'est pas mal. C'est pas mal, c'est pas
C'est
mal.
intéressant.
OK. Well, enchanté. Enchanté. Je suis ravi de te rencontrer. Well, I think it's time for us to say an au revoir. Go follow Emmanuel on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Encore French lessons. Okay, so with the English like encore French lessons.
Yeah, you know what encore means? I mean, you know, right?
Say it.
Encore in the US is like when you clap at the end of a concert
Yeah.
to have the music again, but in French it means again.
Yeah, I remember that's
Like
that's-
you want more, j'en veux encore.
So if you want more, if you want to learn more, if you want to get better in French, go follow Emmanuel. I promise you, he's literally the best at teaching French. I literally almost started my social media career by watching his videos. So that is the reason why he's on this podcast today, because he's such a big example for me, for Tim, and for all the young French people that wants to become influencer and teach the language of love. So again, Emmanuel,
I didn't know that, Alex. Thanks.
yeah, of course.
I actually learned stuff from your
No, it's
Instagram.
I learned myself while publishing those things too.
But again, Emmanuel, merci
Yeah,
beaucoup.
Thank you. Merci, Alex.
OK. Bonne journée
Merci,
à tout le
Tim,
monde.
merci. Merci de
And
nous avoir.
we'll see you in the next episode of the podcast on how to really be fluent in French.
À bientôt.
À bientôt. Au revoir. Ciao.
Allez, bisous.